这就是在感觉的这个，讲那边嘛，就这些了。我说我的老人就把这个那么，大概就是我变的那种的，就没有。我上头见我都在都说，Good morning, everyone. 哎，的，我这，的，我这随吧，我随便你们些来 start 的。
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today's subject is the practice of forbearance or patience.
Uh, I think there are some new people. That's good. I usually use easy remember for you. It's, 5 Bs. I think. Do you remember 5 Bs, Philip? It's good. Good student. Yep. 5B is number one is be calm, be calm and be kind too. And number three, be patient. Today we are talking or discussion. Um, be patient, and then be four is be aware. Number five, and then be happy. And number five, be happy is resolve. And be calm, be kind, be patient, be aware is causes. And then today we are practice for happiness cause, be patient. 어디 녜되고체 야고도 스타콘서 미망보 말라고도 녜디 저런서 양자대 싸워가지도 아니 딩녜되고도 5B 디체 아니 다 좋아요. become condition, become condition. be patient said condition 그래서 다디 아니 마다 다치 가서 그래. 이제 저기 지기체 아니 다 계지셔디 방고 암전은 코시에 붙여들어. 시에네 냠連시에다 계지 뭐라러.
So I'm often asked what's easy to apply and practice, what's easy to understand. So in terms of being calm, being kind, being patient, first we have to know how to cultivate that, and then we have to practice it.
다 내주 담을 용거로 하고 그래서 그래. 가와야고 내주 먼저 다 낭배슈니시는 코와세 그런 거 잠벌린디 코와디나가 다 내진제가 아니 아주 심낭게 차다 마바나 거의는 욕도요 그래서
Mhm. So it's the case that many situations come up for us in life. Some are good, some are bad. And in the context of Buddha Dharma, we call this the cycle of existence, or samsara, the world we're in. And as long as the mind doesn't abandon the delusions of desire and aversion, then we will still experience those problems.
다 딘데게 강에서게 탑란 매우 말해 탑란 요래서
Right. And if the question comes, is there a method to remove those invalid states of mind, those disturbing thoughts or not? Yes, it is not without a method to remove them. There is a method.
하나도 니 강에서 세야게 다 낭배슈네 또 먼저 나게 심규마도 안게 용하디 시게 요래 데모레스 당라서 쳐서 담블링게 뇨라 총사 김자난게 뇨라 아니 저보다 정보를 그녀다 다 도스 상업에 심 마튜왕기로 심 마슈왕기로 디왕기 심 착과다 다운데 숙치를 왕기 아니 용대고 전자래서
So those difficulties that we experience, there is a method or a path to remove them. And what is the method? It is to subdue one's own mind, to pacify one's mind. It's true, isn't it? If we look at all the difficulties in the world, the difficulties within relationships, the different difficulties with families, between countries, and so forth, this comes from the unsubdued mind. So, in that context, we have to look to abandon the excessive desirous attachment and aversion, the ill will, and so forth.
제자다 제자 내주 가리 중에는 당고 삼바마 시와쳐야 돼 become 개점으로도 삼바마 시와면은 아니 소소 로정 신된 요다 냠내로 그래서 냠녀의 요도 템바지지로 아니 요가 용도 봐
So, whatever comes up, be it good or bad, the first one is to be calm, isn't it? To be calm, because if you don't have like a stable mind, a pacified mind or a calm mind, whatever you study, you don't retain that knowledge. So calmness, equalness of mind is important.
다디네 맞아 다디 키싱도 로사 다네다 다 비칸스야 다 개좀 쉬어라다 맞아 즉 잠정 그 초고를 춘주간라 춘주간라 지 밤에게 잠정다 아니지 미신지 잠정다 개인기 잠정다 로아지 밤말라 딘네 먼저 르 소와다 손에야 아니 지 개인라 딘네 아니 지배 신용게 로정도 조용해야 와 알아서 르라 내나더라고 중에는 멤버다 면접다 딘데게 잠정다 되네요야 그런데 먼저 메시지 처역하나 아니 미신이 잠정은 되네 중대 요인다 데라 다디 잠정면은 데도 말해 아니 미신이 수술을 주 잠정고에는 수술 밤이나 잠정다 비칸데 치고요 되면은 이견대로 알아 나랑서 하고도 누저미를 비즈니스 있으면 지어라 파 내가 되지는 알아 계산되고 거르세요 아니 수술 미신이 아니 점점 그거에나 수술 파 점점 맞으는 수 점점 과연 거래로 파 점점 맞아버제 파뇨로 janjansan 동의 janjan서네 수 점점 과연은 대 연구 말하러 지상 수 점점 그거에는 파 점점 치야 돼 지상 대인데 하고도 잠됐어야 된다 시절와다 미 지도난 게 미래 둔두의 정말로 잠재그 초고를 잠재면은 다 메제들라 닝부스케요 말다 가르치가 내려라
So coming to this notion of be kind, then from the time we are young, infants, we need to be sustained. Our life needs to be sustained, be it by parents or teachers. Teachers in the context of parents in the context that initially they sustain our lives. We couldn't survive without them. Teachers in the context that we learn from them, we get our knowledge from them. And then doctors and nurses in the context that when we get sick, we depend on them to heal. So we can see from this that our very life is dependent on others for us to be sustained, for us to remain, for us to live. And having that in mind, that you have been sustained, then you think of others' kindness in that regard to you. It would be strange, wouldn't it, if you just thought of yourself but didn't think of others, similar to the fact that if you're in business to get a profit, you getting the profit in business depends on others. But if you don't give anything out and you just make trouble, you can't expect to get something good back. So there has to be this mutual give and take with the understanding of sustenance, but particularly with regards to society with loving kindness. We need to foster, remembering how others have been kind to us by having a loving kindness attitude. Because if we don't have loving kindness, then life has no meaning.
다 드네 드린 게 주시되다 수배 걸어 와 수배.
Yeah.
최선 수배 콤스도 다 내가 수배스나 가래로 대신 그래요. 와. 뭐 수배스나 컨디션에서 쉐버치고 그래서.
So today's topic is forbearance, and the first point is forbearance. One has to know what it means, what defines patience.
제가 수배스야 돼. 너도 배워질라 수바스도 수바스도 가라 그래. 즉 미신이 스스로 주 책도자 나와 슈바 아니 콘도 나와 양 내가 전에 깔래 가 봐. 내가 전에 깔래 가. 아니 다든데게 즉 지기 튼지 만들고 담는다 지를 된 요한도 먼저 셈디 마투 것이 봐. 셈데 마투 것이 셈디 당고 셈 시와지가 말이나 다가가나 냐듬나 어디서 버렸다.
What then is patience or forbearance? In Tibetan, we call serpa. This means that if you're verbally abused, or if someone strikes you, someone gets angry at you, or you become exhausted at work, tired at work, or your needs are not met, you don't get the things you need. But under those circumstances, the mind remains peaceful, the mind is not perturbed or upset, the mind remains calm. That is patience.
제가 다음 망고지기나 서버 공부를 했을 때 경험해지로 와. 정말 경험해지. 미지 대대에서 진짜 말아 봐. 딜라나 서버 돈다 한 먹으러 와.
Yeah.
그래서 강의 단지 다 미신다게 중요하다. 가리는 스스로 것이 되나? 심데니 다 파악해서 그래. 쉬워서래. 와 딘데가나 데 아니 아니 시행이다 바로 버들라 스스로 빼는 거 불능진이라고 지나로 미지게 스스로 가도이나 책도자라 미지나로 안델라 비 책도자라에 내가라 스스로 맞고 것이로 안 책도자라 미데라는데 다 보이나래 보모이나래 가리나 수이나 미데라 아니 가서래 닝지체네로 아직 이 책도자 라야 돼 고데나 나다 케민도 와 미디 도자라나 나 도자네 책 말해서 이나 즉 맞아 갑자기 좀 액션 도자데 갑자기 맞아나 그 장난셔지 지금 텔레 둘 아니 코로나 지금 로고 말아야 와 미책 도자라니라 미 로고라 하면 나온다 롱사고데 롱사고데니데 미상모 신나시 다디 신나서 왜다 참 팀마징님도 또님님도 제일 갈래 가가 차도더라 아직도 데데 차도 그래서 지금 조금에 차도 그랬어 코로나 쌤도 장난쇼 그랬어 근데 미신달에 뉴 그랬어 되게면도 그래서 간사한테라 닝제 따로 그 자와 액션들라 될라 동네신으로 될라 동네신 될라 한데스 바 동네치고도 탑 캐워지 돈네 도스jen스 왜냐면 도스 쳐오래 다데 낭베게 슝네 왜냐면 지나 좀봐 도스 얘기 오래서 봐
Some people think that being patient or forbearing means to just be quiet and take the loss and do nothing. That's not the case. It is more the attitude that whatever comes, the mind does not get upset and remains calm, and the mind remains unperturbed by someone's actions, be it bullying or words of abuse. You reflect on the person that is abusing or bullying and using those words to you, and you think of them as someone to have compassion for. Because in reality, the harsh words they're using towards you, on the one hand, they're not going to make you into a bad person. But also, secondly, if that person becomes habituated to speaking like that, always speaking harsh words and always being angry, for example, that might be okay once or twice, but then ultimately they will be habituated to that behavior and not have many friends. So then you would see them as an object of your compassion. And here, one is using skillful means to bear the action that you're experiencing and reverse that. And you do that skillfully in the context of Buddha Dharma.
디즈니라 그러와 대전 당보대 미신다가 수술라야 다 직투즈 단데 수술심 마주고 간데시오 그래서야 당보 이 레라와 연마라와 미신다가 수술 직도자라 뇨다 시슈나 콘도 사그라라
So there's a couple of situations. The first is that we're looking, the person that's abusing or bullying you or using harsh speech. How do you keep calm when that's going on? That's not easy, is it? It's not easy to do.
아 당보 직도와 직도자라느라 미지가 수술 직도자라나 미지가 수술 도자라나 아 도자 책을 해라니 대 따제 적으라라
Checking then if someone speaks these harsh words to you, does that necessitate that you're bad? You have to check.
I had experienced this when I was young in monastery, started that time, and when in the monastery we had, I think 5,000 monks. My class, I mean 75 monks we had. And then we have one other friends. And then and he and me usually the exam marks they're better. Sometimes he up, sometimes me up. I don't care which number, but he has I think strong competition with me. And later I understood. And then one day we have debate, we do Mangdo debate, debate. And then we had lost maybe 10 or 15 people monk watching, and I give answer, he give me question. And he used those bad words, negative words. He said, looks like donkey, you don't know nothing, something like that. You looks like there, and then monastery use Shango. I think Shango you don't understand. He said you looks like donkey. You don't know nothing, something like that. And I was so upset, coming here, something coming, and then and I was stay angry very long, and then after debate, and I went to my teachers. Rome, and I usually lost discussion with the teacher. He immediately understood him as saw my face. What happened? You looks like a little bit grumpy, Yes, of course I'm still grumpy. I'm angry, and he said, "What reason?" And he know other monks, He's a teacher student. Sheriff and I had a debate. And he said, for me, Shango. Shango means you don't know nothing. You look like donkey, something like that. And I'm sorry, I'm better than him. And my teacher was so laughing. He said, okay, if he said, if you are looks like you looks like donkey, you become donkey, or he said you don't know nothing, you don't know. And he said you are bad, you are become bad. And then you can give some him money and you say him, please call me, you are best, you are Buddha. He said you are Buddha, you become Buddha. He said, my teacher told me. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. If he said something, I'm Buddha. I'm not become Buddha. It just was, empty was. And my mind is serious, change quickly. I understood it. Just empty was. Nothing affect my mind. We usually most believe some negative setting, and they always believe, positive talking, I'm like this, you're thinking, negative says something, bad talking for me something. It's just empty word. 제가 미지기 특 두자라네. 저랑 야고래. 저랑 두자래라나. 두자 차기 연어로 알아. 아니 미들 랍제 꾸지. 나 야고래. 나 기우도 저랑 점블링 제셔드래. 저랑 점블링 촉셔드래. 나는 아니 점블링 난 제셔. 촉셔 차그래라.
So checking if someone calls you good or bad, does that make you so? And if you ask them to call you the best person in the world, does it make you the best?
다디 틱라 되는 콘도사야 될라. 삼단다디 야부도 알아.
Yeah, it's a good method to think how sometimes when we are receiving harsh words or bad words, not to be irritated around that, not to get angry around that.
아니 다 오늘 저는 다 미디 코라 그래 라고이나 코라나 알아. 가르쳐 개면도 네로.
Yeah, and then
일람나 아니 미디 야 도자래라나 소소세 마네나니 개면도 안 해. 가다 오늘 저는 투게스 개면도.
yeah, and also on an individual level, you are the owner of your own mind. So, if the person calls you bad, whether you take that on or not is in your hand.
다들라 디릭도들 제곰세 거래. 상무디 단 디제나 디마전 디세 디 저런도 곰 잡고요. 데려와 망부지기 곰 잡라도 지 카가로지 대제 베디 심 시월을 가지고 있는 곰제디 끼우 쉽지가 되고 베디 다 지워지 연구도 사무단지 대가는 곰 잡나 지워 이제 다지 셈바 시월 연구도 나셈바 지우면도 지워 여버지 그것도 선 텐데네 대 연구 말다 망부지기 된데 상당 것도 알아.
Yeah, I mean, that itself is a type of meditation, analytical meditation, whether something becomes the case or not for you. Meditation, people think, just be quiet, sit quietly with your mind and think, oh, may I have a happy mind? May I have a happy mind? May peace come? May peace come? May I not get upset? If that's the approach, you'll never find it.
대 단도 맞으면 망해서 그래.
That can even make the mind worse if you have that approach.
디지 말 디지 고고에 셈바 쇼 고고에 랍랍랍 아니 스스로기 깨져셔야지 미콘돌라야로 아니 삼론다야지 미콘돌라야로 아니 내가 저어져야지 밀려내야 내가 젠져셔나 디지 용야 거야래 디 아무나 요마데 로야.
Yeah. So if you keep thinking, oh, I want happiness, I want happiness, I want peace, I want peace. But if someone says some slight irritating words to you, you get angry, or you think something and you get easily irritated, then you're not have the correct approach to what you want, which is well-being, isn't it?
제자다 디지 용야라 제자다 단다지 당당한서 쇠바딘다로 쇠바 미신지 틱도자라네 아니 셈마투나 안디지 용어로 셈마투고데 시와딜라 셈데르바다 지그너제지 요베 내가딜라 셈마투고 데드나 데타 뭐네 디지랑 와다고
Yeah. The real well-being is when, for example, with this first example of someone speaking harshly to you, that you don't get upset and your mind stays in well-being and you bear it. You know, that's that forbearance.
다디네 아니 안zo 딱 렐하보다요 말에 미지기 슈베이너와
Yeah.
슈베이너 콘도 사그라로
Yeah.
슈베이너 콘도 사그라다 나 수고를 나서단 거를 콘도 사그라다
Circumstances, however, are not easy. For example, if one is struck, if someone strikes you out of anger, that's not easy. It can give you physical pain.
다 디네마 지나게 donde samda mangoyo 다 망고 시에 먹어시 다리 아노 베진 티기 네 뇌제 담은 라비온디 소고미야 디간라 냠레 체나 야가면도 베진디 데제레레 도나 야가면도 망고 시에당 알 망고 여러 와 지나도 이나 망고 시에는 지나도 아네 야고도 대 야고도 대 야고도 슬랍 아니 지메 냠레로 제 락렌로 제 마다나 아니 직시버 간실라야 지도 처음으로 나를 팬더민교 차로로 와.
But of course, there are many methods and many things to be patient around. But perhaps if we just stick to one, for example, harsh words, because the key is the practice, isn't it? And we don't want to be in society where there's a state where we know a lot, but we don't know how to practice.
다들 둔다디 미신다게 수술라 직도자라.
Yeah.
아니 직도자 저거 말이야. 미신다 수술도 고삽체도 영어서 콘도세가 라야. 라야.
So let's then look at being able to be patient around when we're spoken harshly to, the recipient of harsh words. Not only that, but if you're being gossiped about, that's a big one, isn't it? You can get irritated by that, people talking about you.
미신다 고삽 가르치는 셰죠 거란서 디지털라 거란서 교회나 라야 가르치는 셰죠. 계획입니다.
How about if others want to talk about you, let them talk about you. It's their time. It's their time, and if it makes them happy, well and good.
그래서 아니 타당이 되레 책디 셰운드 책디게 아니 미디 야고렐나 마야고 차그레 와 아래 미디 니 저나 야고렐나 야고 차그 말해 테나시 미디 두자렐나 가 두자 차그 말아 봐 나랑 강 여바디 다랑으로 하고 아니 아다 체스게 민도로 하고 아니 신도 미치 두자라니 미디라 콘도서주 바션 닝지게 된다 용거라 다디 포심투 제 인터미드 시기여라 밀네베게 시기여라 하고르데 밀네베게 시기 마음바 크란 파뉴그로 왔잖아 아직 다 뺏어서 양디 마음 동에서야게 규칙서야 사서 다 뺏어서 전제네 동에게 유단 전도기 닝제셔야 돼 텔라데네 닝지게야로 닝지게도 왜나 다 빼빼시야고로 심투기 바샤네 갱이 초드샤스티라고 책도자 라와딜 때네 아니 수수소고 공야직 아니 바로바디 책도자 라니 미디 기우여네 책도자 라미에서 니데 셰제 미시레로
Yeah.
고 셈바 기우여네 밀라 책도자 라야세 디베 셰제 미시더레 다 책도자 라야 상배 투제로 야면나 차도사데레 야면나 진심게데레 야면나 심베디 되자시랑 공동하게 딘데지기야 짜제 아니 디라와메베도네 아니 책도자 라비운데 하려버들라 동에 설라메베지 요르다 아지 다들 동에지 요네 책도자데 대용 거래 다들 동에디 매버지 중로시나 다단다 그런 게 책도자 라워데 알네 밀란네 뇌버디 마오바양 그런 파뉴 그래 다들 마용바셔 뇌랜데 마용바셔서 봐 딘데 그 상담 담배이나 아니 갱이 남데 키워서 갱이 장주 남데 키워서 어디래다 데이터 배면 전부도 알아
Then, once again, the various ways to look at being on the receiving end of harsh words, that it doesn't make you a good person if they say you're good, or a bad person if they say you're bad, because you're basically there. And in this case, when you are being verbally abused, not only not getting irritated by what's been said, but even thinking of the person saying that and having compassion to them and thinking, well, if they get habituated to do that, that's not good. If the person always being critical of you is habituated to do that's not good. And also thinking that as a result of what they're saying to you, they create the negative karma that they will experience the suffering result in the future. So you're also aware of that. And this, we talk about turning the difficult circumstances into the awakened path, or the path of our goal of enlightenment, turning adversity into the path that in kind, in fact, this person that is giving you harsh words at the moment is giving you the opportunity to practice patience. And if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't get that chance to be forbearing. And secondly, the next point is that you don't get the chance to be forbearing if the person is calm and kind, or praising you, whatever. It is out of jealousy, hatred, or their desires, these afflicted states of mind coming up, that you will get the chance to be patient. So in this context, you think that you will bear it because, the harsh words that they're using to you will harm them in the long run, will harm the other people that they speak harshly to. So then you think, may these harsh words be a condition for me to exhaust those sufferings that will be experienced in the future. So I take those negative situations into my goal, into the path.
아 대자마세 간사들라 닝지다야 용으로와 닝지 가르쳐 당스들 맨나 수상당들와 만한조 상상라 밀라 게제 치두자든지 쇼그로와 제네가들라 간데션 심 쇼그돌라데 심나라 마지바 당 동인지 유니 아니 밀라 치두자 쇼그다로 아래 수상당들이라데 수상당데 다 미신다데 갈 치두자래도 그런줄라 동네 마지바 된데 정말 알아 요 나시 마지바지 요래 아직 다데 동네데 매버지 요러시나세 미들라 아니 닝지제로 제토비나 아니 다 된배하고 요래서와
Not only that, we want to have compassion for the person that is saying those harsh words, because we know from our experience, when words slip out of our mouths that upset others, that it's coming from the point when our mind is going through difficulties and suffering. So we know what it's like to experience those states of mind that are upset. So we wish for those to be no more. So in that context, we cultivate concern for others, that they are in that state. May they be no more, may they be exhausted.
근데 제다 나 딜야다 로종 그냥네 하버드에다 표이가 단다 가담 기시들 대주 그냥네 제드 때니 실지기 제베 로종 비고게다 근데 여러 제경에 전줄런데 겨 나잘런데 겨 칭이 콘도람데 겨서야로다 단단하고 콘도 게다 콘도 제기 유도도 남데 키르기요라 남 거치는 닝지 예단 거도 하잖아 다 도저 상마 아니 곰레 도저 상마 냠레레 도저 상마 제곰레 곰게 되면 저도 가래 심교가 다야 들어와 최줘야 들어와 최세야 그래 심교가 다야 들어와 심교가 다야 그래 뭐마 콘도 사야기 심디 단다 콘도 마사와 차야서 얘들아 그래서 뒤는 아니 그냥 저 곰디 야고지 차고요 곰디 내는 미뭐 도고요 그래서
So this brings us to it is like a type of mind training practice, taming the mind or training the mind, as the Tibetan Kadampa masters would use all would use all adversities they face as a means to further their practice, whether they were being spoken harshly to or they got sick. So turning anger into the path, turning sickness into the path, turning harsh words into the path, all of those causes and conditions then that would normally be causes for being irritable and angry are actually causes to cultivate great compassion.
어떤
In
딘데기
this
냠내
context, the it is like a type of analytical meditation. It is a meditation in that you are taming the mind, and then the mind becomes Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma is alleviating unpacified states of mind. Okay, Gisela.
그래서 나 딘데기 삼는 당당당당 냠내 체인데 컨섬질라 아니 뭐마이나 미지게 수술라 책도자라도 컨트롤사기나 치수 책도저 라이온이 다 미들라 터지 치스로 터지 치아
Yeah,
펜시오 터스 저랑 아 책도자래 컨트롤사 유파샤제 단도 아니 저랑 터지 치 다디 펜시오 터스로 펜터라 같은 직내에서 보고면라래 인내 인지게라요래 아니 대체지 펜터 수술라 펜터도 펜터버들라 유응하는 수술라 펜터잖아 텐요세그로 아니 제일 미들 데 토지치라야 된대 용거래서 되되네 냠네다 배 야구 차이다 따로 그러
yeah. And there are certain signs that one's ability to be patient or forbearing has taken fruit. So rather than when someone speaks harshly to you, rather than getting upset or even irritated, later on you're actually able to think, oh, thank you very much for that, because not only do you not get angry, but you are grateful for the opportunity, firstly, to be forbearing, secondly, to cultivate compassion. These are the signs that come.
아니 가셔다 인지계라데 데스 가고요 그랬어 그래 저 콘롤라니를 인지계 예 하르잖아 인지계 용어스 그래 직내 동해여와 시내 동해 된도기 인지마제나다 하나서 인지여와 동해여와 시에 초와시 리그로
Yeah,
아니 숨네 나란지 되게 닝지제세 미드도 술을 끼고 그래 그래서 펜도신이 미드들라 아니 동해로 지나듯이 아니 닝지제 용도로
yeah,
그래서 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 펜도신이다 그래서 가세미로 근데질라 내 나더러 지나도 맹간로 안 맹간라 다가도로 다 멜람게로 다 심나라지 초 레기도 하러 돼 닝지지 레용도 하러 돼 어느 정말 레기도
yeah,
안데나시 단다 간서 코로나니 미디 수수 편도체 가르 편도체는 간서 서발라고도 하고 서발라고도
yeah,
그거 좀 심디 이 서버가 예 용고도 대 편토서 돼 대면배 다 편도인데 제여로 수 간서 제 컨트롤라니 미디 수수 가두이나 틸레니 디게 그런 그러면서 다른 뭐지 그런 거 말아 틸레니 미디가 가두이나 배 컨트롤란 데모로 산전은 편도체 버든데 여러 안 편도 제거도 야 태용도 아니 안 딜라 동해 여신아 안 인지 제거로 직벌하고 금세 재산 두스 상말라 셔럽기 네 냠내 고고여다 서베 냠내도도 라다 셔럽 인지 민지 거래 셔럽매나 아니 서베 냠내 제도 말해라 재산 디인데 셔럽라 가르고 와서나 셔럽이 예도야라 답시 약셔도 로정 지야래 소금나게 배자도도 단다 한당 안아서 다 야고요를 근데게 배자도도 인지관을 교류를 받잖아 준주체 뭐 세벨리오 네 삼딩리오 세벨리오도 다배 메시지도 다 소고미야게 다지 배제 유나면나도 인지관을 교류셔야 된다고 봐. 그러면서 로기 나도 아니 다 대단 딜러서고야 아니 로종게 망고지 요르다 망고지다 단다 인지관을 요 말에 인지관을 칸칸서 요르다 다바데 자제간래다 신이 망고 열어라. 이스 도저 년기네 같이 펜토로 알아. 제가 딘류다 닝지게스야디 자자자 금전단데 맞이 차대요. 레스로.
Some people might say or experience that it's difficult to generate compassion to, people that are angry with you. But it is the case that we generally have to have a feeling of compassion when we see people that are going through suffering situations. For us, what tends to happen is that we only generate the compassion towards those that have been kind to you or those that you're fond of, friends, relatives, colleagues, whatever that. If they get sick, um, you're concerned for their sickness and you want to help them, take them to hospital and so forth. But of course, we all have that. That's kind of a natural feeling that comes for those that we're the nearest and dearest. But it is in dependence on those who make us upset or irritated that we have to cultivate patience and forbearance and are more beneficial to our practice. And this is not necessarily in context of those that are far away. Close is actually better in the sense that, it is those that we relate to immediately in our immediate vicinity that these things come up. So one way we can approach that is that we can be patient around them because they're not always going to be like that. It's not always that there's going to be disagreements between you and or that irritability is always there. But this needs to be approached. The forbearance needs to be approached with the wisdom, discriminating intelligence. Very difficult to practice patience without the wisdom. And for wisdom, you need to study, and there are some very good translations in English of this practice of wisdom. So, for example, in the text by Shantideva, Training in the Deeds of Bodhisattvas, the chapters on concentration and patience are very good in English. And the mind training also, one can listen to it online, that has benefit. But what is 100% sure is that to generate the great compassion, you need logical reasons, you need some kind of skillful means. Yeah, so let's do some meditation together.
저런저 단데 사와 하셔도 도모도 꾸노 되네 곰들이야 먼저 대쟁하고 소식이고요래 곰로
Yeah.
곰 당보대 가르스나 꾸노 곰체 니와데 우중체 숨바데 우중을 당하시 시바데 애니심 다다가 가나 시야체 마와데 제곰스지죠 곰가 가나기다 당모 꾸노 곰디야 인스로
We'll meditate, and there are like 5 different steps. The first one is to correct our intention or motivation. Secondly, breath awareness, then counting the cycles of breath. Fourth one is to allow the mind to rest in the present moment. And the fifth one, just like we've been doing, more of the analytical meditation. So 5 steps. The first of which is motivation. Let's do that.
다 꾸노 곰라 드링네 시뱅에 류가 이순기 자와디 니신라 팬도고 바시 지기 300원에 아니 꾸노 딘데시 제시오스라
Firstly, now, correcting intention. May the actions of my body, speech, and mind solely benefit others. May they be of benefit to others.
Oya, 다 가와 공부는 줄라 된대기. 신라 팬도 지야기 선바 된대지 유 유니 요 당라서 군노 제로. 니 요가 시버지 시버들 가와 공부를 했으라.
Now, rejoicing one has that altruistic mind. We have it, we just made such an intention, realizing that intention as a reality, rejoicing in it.
Oya, 당 우주 공부라 우주 공들라다. 아, 딜미 좀 나야 돼. 나군이네 우리 무츠 당파 다 시바 챤는 우주 당인데. 직수부 담대베서 심랑암다 도고남도 이베서도 파시 우파 당는데 양도 다 누가 닝바로 수고나 그 페마더니 네 견어져도 에너지 라고도 어디서 봐 전송 돼 디달라는 수수 류디에 되고 셈바데 장마 차서 전제 네 우 준들라다 셈 가두 다도도 다시 왔어.
So now breath awareness, being aware of the kind of longer breaths of inhalation and exhalation. So when you breathe in physically, one is aware of any tightness in the body or sense of being bound physically. One gets what's called a fresh energy. And on the out breath, any kind of physical block is dispelled, but also mentally one is relaxed and free of thought and is mentally well-being as well. So with the long breaths,
아니 옥수 타는데 아주 옥수구나 봐 팀들인데 와 어딘데 당제 강베 티서마도 야 우파 당르데 강베 티니 제수구나 게 차장 파당 근데 저는 디 야고에서랬다 등상은 미망고시 꼭디 망고단 두고요 말아 갔었는데 computer tang social media tang inde kan mambo tem chi inde digan sim di de kan de u ta dige da gang ye che de yoro ha chen de ya wo yo ting sa
So it's good to do like a scanning when you do breath, to scan the breath and watch it pervading the body from the head to the soles of the feet. So going down and then coming up in that type of cycle, because these days we don't really breathe completely with the advent of social media and apps. We don't do complete cycles of breath. So just that is good.
oh ya da de ne u de jok tang lo chu dang pa da xie che ene chang ga jam ne ro da ngang zu de ju ju ru go yo ye de zo ne chang zu chang ga ya mi ju je ka zu je je do ne sim yin se de la sha na ya ko ne ya jo a de sa wa kha she do chang zu ne chang ga dang go ji ni sum ji ni sum je sum je ane ya de ze ka ga de jo asra.
So now third is counting the cycles of breath. And for this, we make the breath more shallow or quicker breaths. And of course, those that are familiar with it can count up to as many cycles as they're comfortable with. For those that are new, it would be good to just do 3 cycles and then take a break, and then a further 3 cycles, and then take a break, and then a further 3. So, like 3 sets of 3. So, breathing in, breathing out, that's 1 cycle. You do 3 of those, and then you just rest, and then you do a further 2 cycles.
왜 다들 나 당가지 숨시 나서 왔자 나저 살숨겨 나 살숨겨 살숨은 나저 살숨 살숨 좀 하셔라 근데는 삼시야 야 데스카라 데셔서라
So now one can increase to 5 cycles of 3, taking it and then take a break, and then if comfortable with that, 5 cycles of 5, and then observe mind.
다 뉴인셔 근데 뉴인셔 살숨겨라 뉴시다 직체라
So now increasing the cycles of 7, so 3 times 7, so 21 all up.
아야, 다 심, 다다오 가는 샤야. 단다 욱 장가야 참 샤오다가니. 다 시대는 심 쉬워. 심 거구 심보. 심 당황 된대지 열다. 근데 왜 가나 심만이 바치 시대도나 야고 열어. 얘랑서 당보도 돼 테스트네 내 가고 열나. 안 단단 다로 가를 고고 있나로 와. 질로도 와 다로 다가네 고고 있나. 대강의 심샤지 대tum나 시에바시 다디 시에바시는 데고래 다든 데지도 삼데 시에바시 대강아 심샤지 대tum이나 아니 안저 심 다다고 가나 대단 탈람 데레스로
Now, leaving aside the counting cycles of breath and observing awareness of present moment, there is clarity and cognition of mind or clear awareness. Stay with that clear awareness in a non wavering manner. For those who find that difficult, then just use any external sound as a reference point, and you're just simply being cognizant of that sound, and you just remain present with that, and that is being in the present moment.
뭐야? 나도 내용도 제공으로 와. 제공 단답값 내용도 콘도기. 그래서 다 콘도게 아니 님볼 때라 아니 서버 공부라. 서버라다 아니 다 간다 수병 어디 심어도 것이라. 시당 안 하는 게 지금 미신이 책도자 담아라는 게 심. 당보들로 방에 심도 마도 것이 이야기 인상. 근데게 삼로지 유네 쇼편도 그래라. 미신이 가래 가래시나 항상 걔 말에 말했으면 되는 거라래. 되게 마도 것이 말했으면 심 쉬워지가 다 당연히 가서 곰자로 곰자올 때네 심 쉬워지도가 데 쉬워지 데 좀 데마도 것이 냐기 돼 아니 데네다 지 미신지 심투 용의 미신지 책두자라네 갑디 책두자이다 데린 둔다데 책두자 책로 담는다 아니 고섭시하러 담는다 그래나 책동바지로 하고 책 당연히 쉐어나시 아니 미디 마두자르나 두잔 책 말에 마야고르나 야원 책 말에 거 책동바지를 삼나 아니 되게 편의도 SK 말어 되나 아니 심투 말어 어두스제제 다들라 삼로 제공들라 아니 셔럽 이야기하다라 아니 로존체 바디 삼로 땅 야 삼로나는 템바 세워체 다 딘데시나 딘데용고 딘데시나 딘데용고도 사 삼무타나 어저 신도 수수셈 수수 다보자 되려다 저와 탑람 하는 아주 따따비에 시장도 탑람도 열어와 되게 당어서 탑람도 비즈니스나 아니 다 자자 자용 거래서
Mhm. Now the final of the meditations, which was analytical, we were looking at not getting irritated or angry, the countermeasure of which we said was patience or forbearance, in which the mind remains unperturbed, the mind remains pacified. So whatever someone says to you, you think you won't lose your mental peace. So just like that quiet mind we just observed in meditation, one holds that, one remains in that state. And if there is harsh speech or gossip, then you reflect that those words are like void, they're empty words. As we mentioned before, they don't make you a good or bad person, they're like echoes. And there's no benefit to those words. Therefore, there's no point in hallucinating around them. And this analytical wisdom we're doing is analytical meditation we're doing is a type of wisdom, and that needs to be cultivated with reflection or study so that one has a very clear recollection around the means, because you are reflecting, if I do this, then this is the case. If this is the cause, then this is the result. So your mind has this means or method to cultivate on the path. And if you put effort into it, you'll get the result. 100% you will.
오야 당은저 당은저 곰 대제면랑 맞아오래 아니 nga dige de su du na ta ji jogum da jegum se de ni nan du du ko ro jogum se de ani semba yu ji la sha sha jo de jegum sa de je wa sha de ba ta de gom de ni nan la du du ko re de nga zo gom nga ja ba de ni nan zu du du ko re so
The 5 steps of meditation that we've been through can be condensed into two types. There's placement meditation or single pointed meditation, and secondly, analytical meditation. There are only those two.
배나 단단한 ulung kumjadi jegum nam do goro ta dirinenge lunga ge te mila phendo chi sa derwa ande ne da lungjong je ne da upe su su bu dam de goro sim ngam da do chu yigye den yo do pa thembe sam da ya ro sim chi ba cha ro a de do da ji u chu ten pa dan chi ya do da 딜 디쇼라다 지 스트레스 다 주주 파메바 통송 태운되고 셔럽도다 어딜라 디니 당보다 니워디다 제공문을 도도하라
So, firstly, the motivation that today, with my physical and verbal actions, may I solely benefit others. And secondly, in dependence on observing inhalation, exhalation, that one's tightness or physical defects on the one hand, and mental thoughts and problems on the other are pacified on the out breath, and wisdom is cultivated. These first 2 steps are analytical.
네 숨바디 조금래 그래서 옥추 단파 난데간 청가접 청가마 뮤티지 자그도 우중을 미니 아니 셈 제지 버트비하게 다들 조금 세야디 미과지 가나 심셔야 들어와 다드네 니 시버디와 심 다다와 가나 샤야스도 대 조금로 와 심시와 대와디 가나 샤나디 그래 양 단단 자콘jo 그 다디 가나 심샤나디 그래 스스지 지 다다와 지 가나 심카 샤네 리월 디니데 다 조금세디 미과지 가나 심샤 시 대들어와
The third and fourth steps, then, firstly, where you count the cycles of breath and you're placing the mind on the breath, focusing in an unwavering manner on the cycles of breath. And then the fourth one, where you allow the mind to rest in its quiet nature or observe mind's clarity and cognition, or just by being aware of present sound. These 2 methods are methods for cultivating single pointed concentration.
아니 되네 디네다 ngawadi jegum rare da ngzo sebagum takabdi seba omyadi da jegum kenala doguyore karsana da tiringi ani seba nyamni zodi ani ji mission gi susula tsik duja la merwa tsik duja de ngzo sim dugu darwa ani ji ya ji tsik duja ngos mala na ya jabdwa chidoro chede de simro ji chudu darwa 어두좀 맞고 지야 다 김진 상단지 김진 상단이 맞고 저러면 제가 심어도 되긴 좀 잡되네 맞고 차요 말에 아니 지금 다지 지금 표도 파지서 구조를 표도네 심어도 심세야 되고 지금 견자 쉬어도 다고 간 까트베스키요 말에 그 님들로 초보지지 아니 갑자기 자는 돈에 야셔르미지 요새요 말이죠. 심 투야 될 유연이 요새요 말이 가와이네. 용대 그래. 제가 니인도 될라. 그 마요버체 수수님도 동네시에 되기나 아니 야고여러 다디 제공 것도 보니 미슈지 로사요 말이 제공 권한을다 심 투대도 심 쉬어서야 되다 제공을 아니 지금도 참바다 저와다 서바다 저 야제다야도 제공도 도고요. 그래서
And then finally, of course, what we were working with, the fifth step is analytical meditation. We were looking at cultivating forbearance or patience around when someone speaks harshly to you, so that the mind does not become upset. And whether that's direct or indirect with people talking behind one's back, one has to have a method to keep the mind pacified, keep the mind subdued. It's not going to come about by praying for it to be so, may I be peaceful. It's not going to come about by trying to go somewhere else, some other place. Rather that one has to subdue one's own mind, very much like a best friend that you take. Wherever you go, you have your mind, so you have to reverse the thoughts around it, because your mind is always there with you. So you have to be able to get to a stage where you do not superimpose things that are invalid, you don't hallucinate. And that's on the reversal of negative states. And then on the other side, we want to cultivate valid states of mind like loving kindness, great compassion, and increase them. These are all analytical meditations.
Oh yeah, that too.
Any questions? No.
Not too. Also the online tour, they are online. Do you have question? Yeah.
Something. I don't know if you assume and imply that when someone is being bullied, that the person receiving the aggression lays boundaries and physically says, no, stop. Have you assumed that, because you're talking about the attitude, are you assuming?
Mer kude.
Kong du gis tia kong men du.
Wait a minute.
Na.
Do you have mail? Yes.
Microphone you be.
Here. Med asked. A little bit, but online people, and I think it's better to talk Med.
I was wondering when you were teaching about the attitude of receiving the aggression, you were very nicely teaching about keeping that peaceful attitude within. But did you assume while you were teaching that the audience knows to lay boundaries and say stop or to go to authorities if necessary?
Oh, you mean you're talking about if there's actual physical aggression, not just harsh words?
Both. The reason I ask is my daughter, she's been getting bullied since last year. And I told her last year, give compassion, the person hurting you is suffering, be kind. And later, after several months, she said, I was being kind and they kept going. And then I realized I'm teaching her to be a victim and to get used to this state, that this is the norm. So, because I often hear
what's your question?
Buddhist attitude. So my question is, do you assume that the audience knows to give boundaries by saying no, stop?
Oh yeah, so your question,
contacting authorities, because you didn't mention that, you just talked about the attitude. Do you assume we know?
Oh yeah, you mean a countermeasure if you need a stronger countermeasure? That's what you're saying, isn't it? Boundaries. Yeah.
Does he assume that the audience that he's talking to knows that they have to lay boundaries, go to authorities if necessary, and say, stop, this is not acceptable behavior?
Yeah, so you're talking if a stronger countermeasure is needed. Boundaries, that's what you're talking about. Gisela Morangi.
Yes, because he's talking about the attitude, but does he assume we need to?
Yeah, Gisela Samsul Gikola Sepa Gomya Layamba Samsul Susu Samsul. 양면아 네투 심발라 밀라 동여와 대기여와
Really.
이네 카브리왈라다 베네 푸고기 콜라 스쿨라 bullying 체베두 Tenu zepa gom, yine ang paripu shembala mutun nupa chena. Tine gegen shemba yang meno authority la labache, di lebgo gurwa. Ta
Really.
samsam chik chegarwa samsam la. Yang
Really.
mena sem nang la, yang mena kasa lugi chawa la tina samsam chik chego gudwa.
Really. Idro. Tiri danda di dirwa jazan pena nganzo sobo gomla di kyonki je degure laga yo marwa. Ni
Yeah,
pena miji ki tsik duja laga do na susu se maruwa je de nga tangi pechen geje len chasan chodo raa iso mare tuksta di nga shen yot. Ani mi shinda je ki susu la tsu nde duja nyingji wange mi di la nyingji ta gore. Koge action di la nyingji ta yo mare. 다 저나 ngal geje de mashes khadu la tu na khadu la pen labda bu la bulin chi ge na parang ge bu la pha khadu la tu ge na lai ra bu khadu la ma tu na labde ge ge da ani de tiglang ge 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 de ta do chi ni de yo ro do zo la je ko ina mo ina de nga de chi do su de la go go yo re kar na de mi shin da la yang ya yang je su su le je mi phe jo de dung ye so re nge dang ge phe je 당분에 대해 제고를 계제 시에셔 결혼서 거에서 말이지. 유리알 하이나 간시 하고 있어.
na gisa konzo di tuna di hamagora.
뭐 거에서 말하고.
Yeah, that
내
was
당연히
not,
랍사이라.
yeah, it was mentioned that patience doesn't just mean that you take it, it means that you still have compassion for the person that is being the aggressor, but you don't condone the action. And in that not condoning the action, if that person needs to be called out or taken to account, of course, it must be taken to the authorities. If that means a female or male teacher, it should be talked about and said that because of these actions, I'm suffering and others will suffer. Definitely. So,
네 저에 보다.
yeah, this patience doesn't just mean that you take it, well, without countermeasure.
Yeah, your question is good, but we need to understand is person and action need different, Action
Yeah.
needs, tell directly, don't making other people more worst habit, bad habit. And if you can't tell, for example, your daughter, they can't tell other student, she can tell the teacher or principal, and tell this, I have this situation. They school have different rules, so many rules in school.
Do you have advice on how one could know enough is enough and letting behavior slide versus taking also verbal action while maintaining this attitude that you're talking about? Because sometimes I feel it is a bit confusing when to let.
갈라서 매 딩에서
Yeah,
호모.
morangla samsam yerwa. Pina
가다.
kari zepakomje kari kachishegushe di samsam di tes rachya kaporwa.
알레레.
Pina zepakomje yangmena kachishe, yangmena zepakomje, yangmena gegen la kachishe, di samsam di kari la tes seba mayimbarwa.
아레 데데레. 페나 데산삼데 세우여레. 가르잖아 수수역에 미비적에 데라 계절 나와 데라 동네치 당부 파 말라바더네 수수스는 동네치도나 되게요래 다 배저도 금싱을 못하래 아니 파 라고 라베들 수수 랍도나 수수 라마도나 아니 수수 페나 부구이나 파말라야로 기겐라야로 안가라서이나 수수 라마도나 미신다지 균을 람난 되기로 하네 대 산삼 세우여래 수수게 제 동네 지도나 지하래 수수 동네 지마도나 아니 미 동네 지도미 지라 아니 그것이 당하강에 된데 도로 버치는 시라야래 에스테로 Several is
No,
different.
the boundary should be very clear that if one is able to bear and take that circumstance by oneself, then by all means do it. But in this case, if you cannot take that and you need help, and that needs to be brought to others' attention, whether that be in the family or in a school situation or you, then by all means, that needs to be addressed to others.
Oh, the
Yeah, it should be clear in that regard.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
Yeah, we'll stop for today.
Konda Gomja, did that Jonzo, the Sabakashet, and the Lamp Janjaji Lapshan, Konda. Ta subu kumya tu tsongo nang tuerwa, nime ji la tuerwa, konda ma nyega la wala. Ni susu kumja ina zozo je de mena ma nye ni ku la wala. Tamlo stan je da susu tirin lega non ru chin jo di che sha chwa che sha wa che. Ni de chin je mi jin ni be tum zin je ya. Ani yang ji lega ya wo che kumja mi la pen to de chin yo de zo ya wo che sha susu ga wa kum ro. Na de ga wa kum ya de ke chen mo ro wa. Susu yang ge mi de zo ge ga wa che wa da mi la pen to che wa de do na to zo le je zu yi ran chi ni ro wa a de mi tu de le ya wo che do sam da. Antene susu chewa de kawa kama, sanyi nga dile maa, kiawa maa chigi samche, ane nyi kuya re, da tene samlu mangbu shira tanjiyo ma re, samlu shira tana ya, nyi la nyaga yora, ane ngawa myo lam cheche, ane nyi kan dosha na, nyi de kiawa chado kura ra.
In the context of daily meditation at the end of the day, we can use these methods for life. So at the end of the day, if one has done mistakes, to be aware of them, to confess them, and try not to do the next day. And if one has done good actions to those around oneself, by helping others with meditation or advice, then the next day to resolve to do more, to try and practice more virtues. Don't overthink it before you sleep, because then sleep is difficult. But in essence, dedicate the good things one has done, the virtues, before sleep. And then the sleep becomes virtue.
Tato na nga ranzo kiawa saa yore rwa, chiranzo de yung kiri nye chikshe, me de ke gyuru. Tato sama chik pendo gulong rimshi, anzo shinda gulong che yo ma rwa. Chik mi nangbo sa gulong me, pezoyan chiga me sa, chik penjo dan, keta chimbo che gulong me sa, shinda ba jane, chik mi chik toji chila ke rawa me sa rwa. Pendo na za nye ngone gulong zangbo zang nyayis, chiranzo de gulong zangma chili de yore, me de ngone gulong zangmo kini gyuru yore. Chawa kharche na gulong di kechi mushi yorwa. Gulong di zangmo me na, lega kharche na ta penshira to aiske yo mare. Di zang anzo gyawa labjin sa yore, sonam sa yore. Di ngwa me la yako che, zambuling jing magduk siya rwa, di yugren dan ra siya, magduk siya. Zambuling dingzang be silimbiling rawa shiyo re dwa, ta nyoda silimbiling rawa re dwa, dozi sangpa shido ya. Kechi jo di mi mangpo chila, mien jo ki kange tenjo, mien jo raya, kala marani kala, lega marani lega. So chik zewa yi dozi kate ni, dozi kate. Pama dozi bugu, pama kama nyembe ta, dunga shiyo re dwa dingzang. Jizo koran chenza shiyo chade dwa dingzang, bugu pama kama nyese, di chenza darwa une chino. Dingzang da bede yongda rawa chaje, pama dozi la, pama kale re dwa nyingja rwa. 오늘 딩산 파마드들라 깔레리샤 니 베니제고 가서는 부구도 배 부구 라운 체라는 디스플레인 chen 매제 디스플레인 상상은 디스플레인 체다 상상은 디스플레인 충다 사실 다 간시데 지도 그런 직차되다 와네 도서 봐 시지다 간다 지도데 잠재던 데에 지도지 용쇼스 면람겨로시 니가 되네마 치카시시 때 면람시게 면람데 개점으로 와 도다니를 자원이 있어
Now that we have come together for this talk and gathering, there's virtues that have been created. They are of benefit because our motivation is not that people become Buddhist not that we become wealthy, not that we even want people to thank us. My motivation to talk was altruistic, the interpreters to interpret, and yours. So those actions that we've accumulated together are virtues. Because for any action we do, whether or not that action is pure and altruistic depends on the motivation behind it. So if one does have that virtuous motivation, vast waves of deeds or merit are accumulated. So we collect those and dedicate those, that there be no fighting or war in this world. And there is this war, isn't there? These country wars. May they be pacified. May people find the medicinal needs, the food that they need to eat, the employment they seek. And then there's the suffering of, loved ones being separated. But also there's the suffering of children these days not really listening to parents. Parents might try to discipline children, but parents are having a hard time doing that. The kids having so much freedom, a lot of our societies are suffering from that also. And either the discipline is too much or too less. In short, our society is becoming bereft of loving kindness. May our society be full and cultivate loving kindness. And I'm going to make a few verses of prayer to that end, and I hope you can dedicate likewise.
Thank you.
Enjoy your lunch. See you.
Okay, see you soon.
See you soon.